The NHL playoff picture is still up in the air, but here in Winnipeg, fans are confident the arena will echo with the sound of white noise again.
Let's go! Go, Jets, go! Winnipeg is back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome back to the landing strip as the Winnipeg Jets pull out another W. This time a 3-1 win over the Vancouver Canucks. And we were saying this team adjusts pretty well when things don't go their way. I'm looking forward to hearing from Scott Westman and how he enjoyed that experience tonight. But before we start diving in, and I see the chat's all excited about one thing, and I can't really blame them on what they're talking about right now. Mikey, how you doing this evening?
Man, how can you not be doing well after a game like that? Cole Perfetti shows out, Connor Hellebuck, Josh Morrissey, the Jets in a dogged fight with a team that's playing for their playoff lives. I'm not usually a big fan of the afternoon games in terms of the product on the ice. A lot of times those are sloppy, but nah, this was a fun game to watch. Kind of boring maybe in some parts of it, but what a great way to finish it off. So yeah, I'm buzzing after that.
As Matty Wynn says, talk about a Sunday fun day. And on a Sunday fun day that comes with a Winnipeg Jets win, it made its way back in-house today. I was not expecting a little double duty. Why don't we start this show off right? It is a win after all. 3 goals from the top 9. President's Trophy. Lots to get into on this Sunday evening. A lot of different ways you could take this show. Mikey, as usual, I'm going to ask you, where's your head going first? What is your big takeaway?
I think it's no surprise what my takeaway is going to be off the top here. The rest of the chat has been buzzing with it as well. Old motherfucking Perfetti. Holy shit. One, congratulations to him on becoming a father today, because Derek Forbort, you are his son now. That is absolutely ridiculous. That was just incredible. Embarrasses Forbort, scores the goal while he's flying through the air like he's Bobby Orr. You know, I love being smug and saying I told you so. And when it comes to Cole Perfetti, I will be very smug and love to say I told y'all so. Cole fucking Perfetti, man. This guy is here, and yeah, what a goal. That was incredible.
I see the chat is definitely fired up about that goal. That is one for the highlight reels for sure. Making Forbort look silly and then going short side top sheds on Demko while in alone. Over on YouTube, Turd Ferguson says that move was Fetzlicious. That might be the new definition for that goal, Fetzlicious. Canadog says pricktastic. Riley Buchert says Perfetti is him. Over on Twitch, D-Labs is starting off the same way you're going, saying anyone who said trade Perfetti should be forced to watch that goal on repeat for 24 hours straight.
Yep.
Choices TK says, what a total prick move from Perfetti. Real pretty goal. Oh, so it's safe to say the chat is buzzing early about that one, and that's one I'm going to be watching back a few times tonight.
Yep.
On a night, it's funny too, on a night I was coming in ready to kind of say, didn't really like what I saw from that third line today. It was probably the only line I thought really struggled for the bulk of this game.
Yep.
A lot of it came on like kind of forcing plays that were getting them in trouble, missed passes, things like that. And then Cole Perfetti puts on an absolute highlight reel goal as we're heading into the final minutes to put this one away. He really stabbed the Vancouver Canucks playoff dreams in the heart with that banger.
And did them.
But I'm going to kind of sway away the other way here. Though I missed two. Gilbert Marion had said Perfetti goal was amazing. Still concerned about Stanley. Who are you covering on that goal against? And we'll dive into some of
We'll
that.
get to that.
My big takeaway, though, because I wasn't that big on the third line until that goal, how nice it is to have the top six both going at the same time. This was another great follow-up game, I thought, from that Connor, Scheifele, Iafallo line, and Iafallo continues to just do the little things right to keep the play going. There's a few times where I've talked a lot about how I like Lowry as the support guy with Ehlers and how it's kind of opened up space. Iafallo was kind of playing that role for that group in the neutral zone and helping them keep it moving forward on some bobbles. Kyle Connor gets on the board with his first as a dad with that 5-hole rip from the top of the circles. I thought this was another step forward for that top line, which, of course, I've been talking about as a concern at times quite a bit. And then to see that paired with that Lowry, Ehlers, Appleton line really going, where I thought that line was probably the best on the ice today in their minutes. It felt like every time they were on, the Jets were winning those shifts. I'm having trouble even thinking about a shift that they spent in the D zone for the bulk of it. And they get rewarded on a great spin shot from Nick Ehlers, knowing he's got traffic at the net front. Adam Lowry's all over the crease, and Mason Appleton just does a great job winning his battle and getting to that loose puck for the garbage goal. And that was another one of those goals we talked about last game, all 4 goals coming from that slot area, which you expect in the playoffs. That was a big example of a playoff-style goal. So I thought today was another encouraging step for this current look of the top 6. And what did you see out of that group?
It's interesting when you look at the minutes today, 5-on-5, the top 6, again, for the third game in a row, almost dead even. Today was, again, dead even, 5-on-5, both playing 9:37. It's really encouraging to have a top 6 that are all moving at the same speed for once. You've got a setup right now that just kind of works. That Adam Lowry, Nikolai Ehlers second line gives you a dimension that they've been missing for so much of the year to find, consistency. And yeah, props to Alex Iafallo for being able to fill in that Gabe Vilardi spot and keep Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor on a really positive streak. This is what you want to see from that group. And yeah, even on a night where that third line was absolutely the roughest of out of that top 9 group, Cole Perfetti with an individual performance still finds a way to have a positive impact on the game. So I don't know what more you can ask for when, again, this is a Vancouver team fighting for their playoff lives, right? Everything is kind of on the line for Vancouver right now. They have to try to keep pace with St. Louis, who doesn't want to lose ever again. So this was, it was a tough night for that group, but man, just for Cole Perfetti to have that individual performance, it really it helped that top 9 look good.
And just to put some numbers here, I got to take a look while you were going talking there. You nailed it, bang on. They played the exact same amount of 5-on-5 minutes, 9:37 a pair, and we kind of talked about that. If they're gonna run with that Connor Scheifele thing, which we know they are, a way to kind of use that leverage is to play that Lowry Ehlers group more. That's giving them more right now, and you see them on this night get even distribution combined between the top 6 tonight. They outshot attempt the Vancouver Canucks 27-17. The first line ran at expected goals of 78.1 or 0.2%. The second line 72%, and that's what you want to see is both lines rolling, both lines controlling the flow of play, and both lines get on the board. Even if one of them don't, that's a great night. Both lines get on the board, and like you say, Cole Perfetti with the individual effort gets that third line on the board. And this is why I feel better about this current configuration is even on a tough night for that third pair, with Cole Perfetti's emergence, you have options to still get offense from that group in an individual effort. I know a lot of people want to see the Perfetti-Ehlers thing and want Ehlers with a more talented winger, and I'm no Appleton fan either, but he's really earning his keep this last week here. I see the Jets as a more dangerous team because of the Cole Perfetti emergence, having Ehlers and Lowry drive a line, having your top line that could score when you give them time and space, and then having an offensive output out of your third line. I think this is the way for the Winnipeg Jets to carry this into the playoffs and be a harder team to play against in some of those matchups we're going to see.
Yeah, we've given Mason Appleton, a little bit of crap throughout the year because, just for different reasons, right? Depending on what the game flow is, a lot of times he wasn't able to kind of finish things off. But he's absolutely playing really well since they've put that trio together. He fills a role, right? He fills the role of what they're looking for to go on, crash the net, provide that big body, create some chaos, and hopefully pop some of those greasy playoff style goals in, and it's working. Shout out to, I think it was Jets Burner on Twitter, who pointed out that in the 3 games, I believe it is now, 4 games with Ehlers, Appleton, and Lowry, Appleton's got 3 goals. He had 3 goals in the 35 games before that total, right? So it's working. Appleton is filling that role, and we've talked a lot about having pairs, right? That's something that you kind of want to build your lineup through. Have a pair of guys that work well together, that can drive that line, and then you can cycle through wingers to see what works best. So if you have that working right now with Ehlers and Lowry, you have that with Scheifele and Connor, that's signed in stone. We're doing that. It leaves you with Perfetti and Nino on that third line, which wasn't working as well today, but can work. We've seen it work. And yeah, I agree. It's, would I rather see somebody else on that wing with Ehlers and Lowry? For the most part, usually, yeah. But considering the players available to the Jets right now, I think this is probably their best looking lineup.
Zuch 40 is screaming it. I know he was saying it last game. In all caps, he's pulling the T-Kona Paulie special. Can't change the lines back. And this is the framework. This is the framework. And I want to go to 2 good points from Lucas Strapp over on YouTube before moving around a couple places here. Lucas Strapp also wants to point out the 4th line controlling the play in the O-zone. And this was a rare game where the 4th line gets outshot attempted 4-2, but they were more dangerous in their 2 shots. And there was a couple of those shifts where there was one specifically in the second that I had a blast watching, where that line was just so in sync with each other in the O-zone that they played a shift of keep away in the O-zone before getting the Connor Scheifele line out there. And there's value to that, right? Where your 4th line's giving you those offensive zone minutes to send out the scorers to go and try and take advantage of a tired unit, right? So I like that from Lucas Strapp. He also mentioned on the topic we were just talking about, we've been saying for months that Ehlers needs to play with Lowry and Perfetti needs to play with Nino, and we're happy it's finally happening. 100%. And that's it. I'm stoked with where those configurations are, because I do think it makes the Jets a 3-line team come playoffs rather than a couple coin flips and hoping your 3rd line could win those minutes, which is how I felt about the plan A, right?
100%. Completely agree. I'm always worried when a full lineup is available to Scott Arniel that he's going to revert back to, opening night roster. Path of least resistance but again, here's the other maybe Debbie Downer part. I don't think we're going to have to worry about the issue of Velarde coming back anytime soon. Looking at Scott Arniel's comments today before the game, I think it's going to be a moot argument to have, because I don't think we're going to be seeing Gabe Velarde anytime soon. So, yeah, the way the lines are currently constructed, I think this is the Jets' best lineup considering players available.
I'm just saying, there's going to be some people that owe John Liu an apology for going at him as hard as he did because I posted that clip. And I wouldn't mind some DM apologies for some of the shit I dealt with for simply posting a clip. Because, based on Arniel's comments, does not sound good for Gabe Velarde. We'll see where that goes.
And, the whole thing with the John Liu stuff, it's pretty clear to see what happened if you can kind of take a half a step back, right? He reported something that the team was not happy about, got out, and was maybe said in a off the record type of situation or something, where to the point they pulled the entire video down. Not just oh, hey, by the way, we've had an update. That's not really the case, yada, yada, yada. They ripped that video down so fast and tried to scrub any mention of it because, that's probably the case. He's not going to be back for the playoffs unless the Jets make a super long run and, get in there. But don't be expecting Gabe Velarde anytime soon.
Yeah, when Arniel says it's not an automatic 4-6, but he's a long way from getting back in the gym.
He said specifically.
That was not comforting. Though there's still 3.5 weeks here before the playoffs get going, and there's some great medical teams and some modern medicine. We'll see. I'm not writing them off yet.
I don't know if our medical team's got the best reputation of getting guys back in the right amount of time. Let's pump the brakes.
I think this is a great point from Zuch 40 as well, and then I want to dive into some of the Connor Hellbuck stuff I see in the chat, some of the President's Trophy stuff. Zuch 40 does point out, and I think this is a really, really good point too when kind of talking about the shot metrics and shot attempts, is the shot metrics don't really tell the full story with the Jets team, and we've kind of seen the Jets lose the battle on the shot clock lately. And he points out quality of time in zone shots does matter. Not all high danger chances are alike. And the one thing the Winnipeg Jets system, as we know, watching this team as often as we do, is a system that really forces the shot attempts from the other team when they're at their best to come out from the outside, which aren't as quality as getting to the home plate area, right? Yep. Kind of like what the Jets offensively used to look like a lot more, was trying to force the play through the pretty seams, and teams would shut that down. So I thought that's a great point from Zuch 40, and I thought this was another really strong effort from Winnipeg, despite what the shot clock says, of keeping Vancouver to the outside. Vancouver's best chances tonight come off of Winnipeg mistakes, more so than Vancouver breaking down Winnipeg. Yep. A couple blown coverages, and that's going to happen. You see it on the P.S. Suter goal with both Stan and Scheifele going up to the same guy as Suter comes flying down the zone. And I mean, Luke Schen's a lot of things, but fleet of foot is not one in that situation as well. We also saw P.S. Suter get a pretty good look right before that, the shift prior, with Hronek sending a cross-seam pass where he puts it inside the bar there and it stays out. So Vancouver had a couple good chances in this. Hellebuyck comes up big on that Quinn Hughes one towards the end. Teddy Bluger as well, I believe it was, right after that penalty kill. So Connor Hellebuyck made the saves you expect, but I thought this was another great example of the Winnipeg Jets really dictating the game through their system and not allowing much quality and forcing things the other way, which is what you want to see this team keep building on.
Yep, absolutely. When you take a look at where the Canucks were able to get their unblocked shots coming through today, a majority of them are coming in from the perimeter and back at the blue line, because the Jets were doing everything to push them back out. There was a little bit of a dip at a certain point where, there was a few mistakes, some blown coverages. They were starting to kind of get soft in the middle, but once they corrected that, they were right back to it, and you got to see them close out the game that way.
As the chat is alluding to here, and I'll go with Lucas Strapp's last one here, and we'll dive into some other Reigns comments on Perfetti, because I know you love talking about Cole. I love talking about Cole too. Lucas Strapp points out Buffalo had a huge game this afternoon also. Buffalo took down Washington 8-5, which puts the Winnipeg Jets in masters of their own destiny spot when it comes to the President's Trophy. After today, Winnipeg's 51st win, 5-1. Incredible. Puts them 3 up on Washington. Washington has the one game at hand, and all of a sudden that pretty President's Trophy banner we've shed some light on and been talking a lot about what that would mean in the smallest market in the pro sport. I pissed off some people early in the year, but I truly think it'd be the biggest sports moment in Winnipeg in a long, long time. I value a President's Trophy in the best hockey league in the world, a little higher than the Grey Cup. Sorry, CFL truthers. But a real big accomplishment now is in the Jets' control. Are we going to see a President's Trophy in Winnipeg?
I think we're going to do it. I think they're going to be able to close it out, barring, again, some huge collapse down the stretch here, which would be more concerning just for their overall play than and what it means for the playoffs and what it means for his President's Trophy. So, I think they can. I think they're going to close it out. Scott Arniel mentioned they're focused on winning the Central, right? That is their big thing right now. They want to do that. But to win the Central, it means they're going to win the West. And to win the West right now, the way that they're playing at this points percentage means they would win the President's Trophy. So the way I'm kind of looking at it is the President's Trophy would be a massive accomplishment. It's a huge thing. But I think it's part of the entire story of how well this team is playing and what they can possibly do in the playoffs. And it'll be fucking special to have that up there. I've been going to games forever, right? Since I was a little kid. And it's really interesting being in the arena before and looking up at the Moose banners that used to be there before the team came back, right? When they won the Fitzpatrick, when they went all the way to the finals against the Hershey Bears. And it was always so cool to see those up there, right? Remembering those seasons. I was at those playoff runs against the Bears that they didn't win, unfortunately, right? They didn't win that Calder that year, but it evokes such important memories and such a feeling that it'll be incredible if they can get that up there and we can look back on it in a few years and go, fuck, that season was great. And it'll look even better next to the Stanley Cup one we're going to put beside it.
kind of ties a bow on like thinking back on the memories and stuff, and it's kind of fitting that it's Vancouver. But listening to you there, you know what memory pops up for me going and watching the Moose before the Jets were back?
Which one?
Going out of my way and needing to be there for the Cody Hodgson debut. If you remember
yeah.
that name, blast from
yeah.
the past. He was supposed to be the next big thing in Vancouver, and I very vividly remember bugging my dad to go to that game because Cody Hodgson was going to be the next big thing. So it is nice in time, especially, right? You'll appreciate those memories a lot more. And this team has a chance now to do something really special in what is it, 7-8 games left? I mean, I would be celebrating a President's Trophy pretty hard, I gotta say.
We've got 8 games left. Yep.
Our boy Connor Hardebuck with another big accomplishment. He becomes the third goalie since 2000-2001 to have back-to-back 43-plus win seasons, joining Martin Brodeur and Evgeny Nabokov. Adding more to this resume as he slips to number 2 on the betting odds. Kind of understandably so, given the night Draisaitl jumped back in and had last night. Are we going to see him break that milestone with all these things he keeps piling up onto that beautiful resume?
He is putting himself in a place to be undeniable. There's no, again, it is absolutely, Leon Draisaitl is a great player. He's having a really good season. 51 goals already, the 2 goals back yesterday after the, being off hurt. Great, absolutely, really good, cool, thumbs up. It's not historic. It is not what Connor Hellebuyck is doing. Hellebuyck is going to be putting up a season that we haven't seen in the NHL in 40 plus years. He is easily the most important piece on the best team post to post in the National Hockey League. You cannot make an argument that a very good season by Leon Draisaitl is better than a historic season by Connor Hellebuyck. He should be the Hart Trophy winner at the end of this year. It's not even a question in my mind. I've been yelling about this since December. It's the goddamn truth. It's just, Draisaitl's fine, but Connor Hellebuyck, what he's doing is better. It's more impressive. Give him the Hart.
Matty Wins points out Helly just needs 2 more wins for a new career best. And I'll sum up my thoughts using Big Papa's words. MVP, not Mac, not Cooch, not Dre. It's Connor Hellebuyck.
Damn right.
And it's time to keep pumping those tires. You know what? I'll spend some time tonight really bringing some of the propaganda to social media so we can keep the push going here, because I want to see that man celebrated. And again, you know what? I was talking to you in one of our DM groups this weekend. So the last game there, we had seen that the MVP chance come back out after that PK, which, hey, the penalty kill again today, perfect, 3 for 3. And that seems to keep finding its rhythm here. Big story for this team, as we know defensively, is where they excel. And if they add that PK portion, we'll get there in a second. Yeah. But Connor Hellebuyck was asked after the last game by Ken Wiebe about hearing those MVP chants. And what I just find so incredibly amazing, it's clearly the best story the Winnipeg Jets 2.0 has been able to write and continues to write, is they found the best goalie of a generation in the 6th round, American guy, and you see the mutual admiration between this city, who's, despite the narratives outside of it with people not wanting to be here, their franchise player, their star, a level of talent that I really don't know at 30 years old if I'm going to see a better player in my lifetime roll through Winnipeg than what Connor Hellebuyck has consistently done. And you see the admiration between him and this fan base so clearly and so out there. It's the Winnipeg Jets' best story. For it to all fall into place in this way, where he just fits this market so well, embraces this market so well, and he's a Hall of Famer as soon as Game 82 is over this year.
Yes, sir.
It's an incredible story.
Yeah, we don't see it right now because we're in the eye of the storm, right? We're right in the middle of it, so it's hard to see history when it's happening around you. We're going to look back in 5, 10, 20 years at Connor Hellebuyck's career and realize that we had an all-time great, one of the best players in NHL history on our team, and we got to watch him play, 40 games every season. It feels like it's ridiculous. So yeah, it's absolutely incredible what he's doing, what he continues to do. And if he stopped playing, like you said, at Game 82 this year, he's already a Hall of Famer. He's already the best American goalie that's ever played in the National Hockey League. It's absolutely incredible. And the fact that that he's taken so well to the city, that he's taken so well to the market and the fans, it's a perfect fit. And yeah, we're goddamn lucky.
A couple points on those topics over in our chat, and then I want to go somewhere else with it. I saw earlier in the chat there was some more talk about his game, and he continues to impress. We'll get there. Al Camino says losing the Central banner in 2019 in the post-December collapse was something that team never recovered from, and that's a really interesting theory in the looking back of the Winnipeg Jets story. As that 2018-2019, as much as people want to lean on the fact St. Louis went on to win the Cup, the Jets controlled their own destiny at the halfway point and then played 500 hockey the rest of the way. Yep. I can't sit on the idea that, St. Louis ran through them and they just stumbled onto a good team when we saw 4 months of mediocre hockey lead to that. And I think that's a really interesting point from Al. Gilbert Marion points out his numbers are way better than Price. And I've been doing the comparison on Twitter between looking at Price compared to league average and looking at Hellebuyck compared to league average. And Hellebuck's margins are bigger across the board this year. Turd Ferguson says by 2040, Connor Hellebuyck will be known as the godfather of modern NHL goaltending when clones emerge. And this is something I've been talking to Turd about on Discord quite a bit. It's a theory he's been talking about a lot with us, and I really like this theory from him. Do you think, and this is one reason I've talked about this on the past versions of this show, whenever I would talk to like goalie analysts, goalie skill coaches and stuff, especially early on in Connor Hellebuyck's career, he was always picked out by goalie people as like, what was it? I think Pix is in the chat. Pix, what was it? His glove was too low and something about his form. Goalies didn't trust Connor Hellebuyck at all. And I wonder if it turns on to something here where you really break down what made Connor Hellebuyck successful, and it was reading the game and being ahead of the game, using his head, and kind of learning all the other tools. I do wonder if it turns on to something here. What do you think of that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna be you're gonna be seeing the clones emerge for sure, because people want to imitate talent, right? They want to imitate success, and you start looking at it and going, "Shit, that's working. That's working. Oh, that's working," and that's when it starts to build out. So. Yeah, there was a lot of critique early on, right, with his form and things like that, and it's interesting because he has made a few small adjustments, right? There's been a few things that he's kind of changed in his game a little bit, but for the most part, the style is maintained, and we're seeing it just absolutely dominant. The big thing to keep in mind is what you mentioned, right? The difference between his numbers and the rest of league average compared to those other historic times is the difference between Connor Hellebuyck and just your average goalie right now in the NHL is incredible. It's so huge. And that's, I think that's why, again, he should be winning the Hart.
A few more points on this and we'll move along with the show. Donnie Fester says, Donnie here. It's always been Helly for MVP. Love the show. Choices TK says, if they win the President's Trophy, best player on the best team, how do you deny them? Kind of like you were saying there, Mikey. Donnie also says, yeah, it'd be incredible, but win the Cup, please. And hey, we're with you there. Zuch40 also says, if Helly doesn't win the Hart Trophy, he's at least won our hearts, and he's definitely done that. Zuch40 also brings some Notorious B.I.G. into the chat. I love it when you call me Big Pop, with Big Papa so active. So if you're a true player, throw your hands in the air. Cringe. Choices on the Hellebuyck theory says they will try, but it's going to be hard to duplicate a one-of-a-kind goalie like that.
Yep, absolutely.
Which is an interesting point. Rad River Rebel also points out on this theory, I wonder if Helly's style is good for young players to get noticed.
It is not.
And I would say that would be my thought too, is that it would not be. And we've kind of heard Chuck Hellebuyck do some interviews where he talked about Connor really not wanting to do goalie camps with people because they wanted to change his style.
Yep.
I've talked to people that work with goalies and they would have hated how young Connor Hellebuyck looked. So I do think it would be, you would notice him, especially if he was playing really well. But I do think it's one of those things that talent evaluators would look the wrong way at.
Yeah, we'd have to start definitely changing the standards and what we're looking for in the goaltending scouting department. It's funny, what ends up happening a lot of times if you have a guy like Hellebuyck where it's that quote unquote big boring type of style, you get people like Kevin Sawyer saying on the broadcast that, you know, Hellebuck is just part of the team and he's just a piece of it, and you know what I mean? It's they fade into the background of what gets called a quote unquote good team or a good defensive group or whatever, and it ends up kind of getting lost if they don't have the big showy, you know, Dominic Hasek save. So yeah, I definitely don't think it's at the moment it's not good for young players to get noticed, but if it becomes something where that style becomes more prominent and successful, we'll just have to shift what we start looking for, and then, you know, hopefully it does. But yeah, I agree. At the moment, I don't think it would be.
T. Kona Pauly checks in for the goalie union saying forwards get 50-plus goals every year. Goalies don't get 40-plus wins every year.
Correct.
Hard to deny that. And he also says, as a goalie, I've been watching since daily. And Helly, not even close to my fave, but he's easily the best tender Winnipeg has had and will be the best USA tender ever and Hall of Fame. And as soon as he wins that Vezina at the year's end, no goalie that's won 3 Vezinas has been left out of the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
He will be in the Hall of Fame. The plaque will be ready for his retirement. One more thing, and I like this comp, though I think stylistically may be different from what I've watched. I was a big King Henrik fan for years and years watching the Rangers. And Tikona said, Helly's a clone of King Henrik, more or less. And the one thing I'd say is I think Henrik was a bit more reliant on his athleticism, and he was just so good at doing it, whereas Helly's more thinking the game through. But if you look at like the situations both guys' careers have been in, where I think King Hank gets underrated in the pedigree of goaltenders because he never dragged that sad sack Rangers org any further than a second round, I believe, maybe a third round for him.
Yep.
And I kind of look at the situations very, very similar at this point. And the Winnipeg Jets this season have a chance to dispel that aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't let his career end without a Stanley Cup. We can't. We owe it to him for what he's providing to us. You know what I mean? They've got to do it. And man, they've got a group right now that you never know. It's something feels special.
Two last comments.
And,
Mike Friesen says,
just with Hellebuck. Honestly, it's funny that we've talked a lot about Price's season and winning the Hart. I actually think Carey Price is maybe even a slightly closer comp to what Hellebuck does now in terms of the thought process through the not relying so much on the athleticism, right? He was a little bit more of a positional type of player. So I actually think the comparison is a little bit closer to the guy who last won the Hart.
Ooh, my bad. Glizzy Water Soup points out the Rangers lost to LA in the final. Huh? You don't remember the losers, eh, man? Sometimes you don't remember the losers. To sum up this Hellebuck, Hardebuck, and Helly's legacy talk, Mike Friesen points out the second best player with McKinnon. He has McCarr. Draisaitl has McDavid. I love Josh Morrissey, but I don't have Josh Morrissey at either of those guys' levels.
100%.
And lastly, let's go out with this. Glizzy Water Soup, for this topic anyways. I am greatly concerned about the amount of games Helly has played. Dude is going to play over 60 games and is at high risk for crashing out in the playoffs. Are we going to see a Hellebuck crash out?
I hope not. That's all I can really say. I hope not. We haven't, there's no way to know if he's going to be able to keep going, but everything that we've seen up to this point for this season shows that he can handle the load. So, roll it while it's hot.
Well, the other aspect of this, so Derek Forbert's now Cole Perfetti's son.
Correct.
Kyle Connor had a daughter, and Eric Comrie's wife is now expecting a kid soon too. That we might see. We might not see Hellebuck spelled from an upcoming start, so that's going to play into Glizzy Waters Soup's point here as well.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Kevin Woodley's been very on the topic of goalies in this generation shouldn't play more than 54. And you're not seeing guys that play over that get through multiple rounds anymore. So it is a valid concern. But I do tend to lean where you are right now. He's just been so locked in. I mean, he stumbled for 2 games in a row. It was like the only 2 concerning games I've had probably all year, like a week ago. And he's bounced back really nicely from them. So I tend to follow where you are and Gilbert Marion is with. He's been dialed all year. I have the confidence. And
I don't want to mess too much with his schedule and his routine. You know what I mean? To sit out for a month and play 2 games during that stretch, not really what you want, right? So yeah, maybe not every single game, but again, like you said, with Comrie's wife expecting right away, yeah, he's probably still going to be playing a few, and they're focused in on winning the Central mathematically. So I don't think they're even thinking about resting anybody until that happens. That's their big focus. It feels like right now, and Arniel said so even in the pregame.
Zooch40 also points out he played an extra handful of games at Four Nations. They'll all say he played, 3 games at Four Nations, and it was spread out pretty well. Like, it wasn't the normal kind of schedule.
Yeah, 3 games over 2 weeks.
Yeah, the way that played out, I think, was okay based on the workload. But let's move to our favorite segment. We want to hear from you. What details in this one do you think helped tilt the scales, or was something missing that you were hoping to see? It's time for the From Financial Faceoff.
Right on.
Before we get in, I see Scott Westman has joined the chat, and we got to send Scott to this game against the Canucks, and he says, "Nick, someone before me must have shit in that seat. Mikey, lay off the Taco Bell, buddy."
I will neither confirm nor deny anything.
But do you want to start off the From Financial Face-Off today, or do you want me to?
Sure, I can go off first. So for the face-off today, I'm going to talk about something that started off maybe as a negative, but then was able to kind of turn into a positive, and that was the Jets' ability to kind of readjust and come back from some mistakes. We saw at a point towards the end of the first period, the Jets started to kind of lose a little bit of focus. They were losing coverage. They were losing the middle of the ice. They were allowing guys like Pia Suter to kind of just blast through and come in, and that's kind of where the goal was scored off of as well. And in years past, that may have been the catalyst for the team to kind of start falling off the rails at that point and having an off night. But they were able to really kind of come back from that little stretch there and kind of put it together. And like you mentioned, keep just applying their game and keep kind of forcing it on Vancouver. So they were able to clean up their coverage. They took back the middle of the ice. They got their neutral zone timing and the forecheck back on track. So it just, I was impressed at their ability to really come back from what seemed like something that could have, set the game off, and it didn't.
I see some good ones over on Twitch that we're about to get here, and I'll be diving over to YouTube. So let's hear those thoughts over on YouTube for the From Financial Face-Off. Mine kind of plays into yours a little bit here, actually. And Max is Silent, who sometimes tunes in, was talking on Twitter, and his takeaway was the Jets pretty much controlled like the first 15 minutes of each period and then took the foot off the gas. So I'm going to go with the From Financial Face-Off detail for me today being the Jets dictating how this game was played, and sticking to their system and kind of what you're talking about, bouncing back when they got it straight away for a few minutes at a time. I really felt that the Winnipeg Jets versus a desperate Vancouver team dictated almost every aspect of this game, where Vancouver's chances come off of their mistakes, not Vancouver breaking the Winnipeg Jets. For 45 to 50 of the 60 minutes, the Winnipeg Jets were the better team controlling that game. I'm going to say the From Financial Faceoff is coming in to the home ice on the last game of a homestand against a team desperate for a playoff spot and dictating this afternoon's game.
Right on.
Over on Twitch, let's...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go for it, buddy.
I was going to say, over on Twitch, we got a first-time chatter joining the show. B. Kelly S. Welcome in. Saying Winnipeg, Washington, and even Dallas still running for a President's Cup. So no rest for Helly, sadly.
There you go. Over on Twitch, Zooch40's From Financial Faceoff is balanced throughout the lineup, and how can you argue about that? As a big proponent for balance throughout the lineup, Zooch40 is really speaking my language there, and it makes a difference in this one. Yep. You get 3 5-on-5 goals from each, or one from each of your top 3 lines. That's balance, baby.
And that's what we've wanted all year. We've wanted three lines that can go out there and score, and they've got a configuration that works right now.
Big Papa's From Financial Faceoff is crashing the net and scoring playoff type goals, and that's something we've seen more of late, and something I think should be exciting as this team's gearing up for the playoffs.
Yep.
Donnie Fester saying From Financial Faceoff, Mason Appleton and Cole Perfetti becoming elite goal scorers. tongue in cheek, I hope. I like this point from Rat River Rebel, and I thought this was on display again, though I did think this was a better night than the last two from the Shen Sandberg pair. Points out, I know everyone loves Shen, but his foot speed is going to cost us at some point. Hopefully it's not in a big moment, and I do think that side of his game, the longer he's been here, it becomes clearer and clearer how much, especially in the neutral zone in transition, if he gets caught up, there's just no getting that train back on the tracks in time. And I do think that's an astute observation from Rat River Rebel on Luke Shen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the pairings shape out come when everybody's healthy and what the matchups are going to be. That's the part I'm really, really interested to see. If we're going to have home ice for hopefully throughout the entire playoffs, because we're going to win that President's Trophy, I'm real curious to see how Scott Arniel is going to be utilizing the matchups when it comes to Luke Shen and some of the opposing teams.
Tico Napoli's from Financial Faceoff was the net drive and battle. And we saw that on display, especially on that Mason Appleton goal. And that's where this team's going to need to win games come the playoffs, right? We know it gets harder to score. We know things get buttoned down. And you like to see more consistent efforts net front leading to goals like we've seen this last week and a bit. I like that takeaway from Tico Napoli. Dante Violet says, from Financial Faceoff, another blown 5-on-3 for this once vaunted power play. And that is something I wanted to get into here. Felt like a momentum killer at the time. It's so crazy to me. What'd you see on that power play before? Because I'm going to go to the buffet here, I think. So what'd you see from the Jets on that 5-on-3?
So I don't know if it's recency bias because they've had now, I think it's the last 3 5-on-3s in a row where they haven't been able to score a goal. But it feels like all year we've had issues with the 5-on-3 power play configuration. For whatever reason, it just hasn't been able to translate into the same success that your regular 5-on-4 has had. Yeah, again, I believe it was Murat, I think, on Twitter posted that the Jets are 5th in the league in terms of 5-on-3 goals scored. So, compared to the rest of the league, they're still doing well in that aspect, but it just feels like they've had a lot more opportunities and they just aren't capitalizing on them. And I'm curious to see what you think what the issue is, because, if you translate that percentage, from the regular power play, they should just be murdering teams 5-on-3.
Okay, so here's what I'm seeing, and I've seen this I want to say they're now 0 for 5 on their last 5-on-3s is what I think the tally is. At least that's what it seems like in my head. And it's so crazy to me because this has been the best power play for most of this year. I think you mentioned it fell behind Vegas to number 2.
Yep, they're behind Vegas right now.
So this is a top 2 power play in the entire National League, and it's been very good most of this year. But whenever they get to 5-on-3, it absolutely struggles. And what I'm seeing is they stay within the system that they use to create opportunities versus the 5-on-4. And it's largely predicated on an umbrella setup. The problem is when you're going on a 5-on-3, teams are playing a compact, tight triangle, and the umbrella plays into a triangle because you're passing it to a guy that's already blocked from a shooting lane. When you're on the power play, you want to take advantage of having the extra numbers by creating odd man situations. And that's why you see a lot of teams go to a box +1 and have a bit of a shooting gallery from the top, because you're going to be forcing either the top triangle guy to make a decision and you're going to have to see movement, and it opens up those lanes. And for whatever reason, the Jets stay within their 5-on-4 setup in a 5-on-3, and it makes them really easy to defend against, because that 5-on-3 triangle that you want to keep compact as a defensive team, they're playing right into its strengths. They're not making it move around to stay within lanes. They're not making anyone have to adjust to the path that you've chosen. And that's frustrating because, a box +1 kind of does that for you. And then you outnumber guys at the crease, at the slot off of rebounds. Right. That's what I'm seeing. And that's what's kind of bothering me right now.
I wonder why they're not trying to give it, a different approach with it. It's curious.
It is interesting because they've made so many good adjustments on 5-on-4, and I'm just wondering why they're not picking this up on the 5-on-3, because they didn't even look dangerous. Did they even get a shot on that 5-on-3? It's just so easy to defend when they stay within that structure, because you're playing into the one aspect of 3 guys that really works.
That works for it, yeah. It's frustrating.
Lucas Trapp says, do you think putting Perfetti back on the top PP would fix things? He filled in previously when someone was hurt. I haven't minded some of the looks they've gotten on the 5-on-4. I mean, maybe Perfetti's ready for that pass Ehlers sends to Iafallo through the slot.
Yeah.
We saw a couple looks there that I'm not as worried about the 5-on-4 right now. The 5-on-3 is just so frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe, yeah, it's more about the structure than the personnel with the 5-on-3.
Yeah, that's where I tend to lean to right now. Matty Wins goes a nice spot here where I wanted to highlight him again. Let's go Dante first because I do want to talk about Matty Wins' point. Dante Violet's from Financial Faceoff is the look on Nemestikov's face after the Perfetti goal. Go watch the replay. So funny. I got to check that one out. I don't know what that looked like.
Yeah.
Matty Wins then says, Colin Miller checked all the right boxes for me for his From Financial Faceoff. Assist on the Connor goal, drew a penalty on Sherwood, and made some nice defensive plays. And TSN did an awesome job of breaking down Colin Miller's defensive effort on that Kyle Connor goal.
Yep.
Plays it perfectly, then sends it up to Scheif, who finds Connor streaking through the neutral zone, and Connor goes in and shoots for that 5-hole. Colin Miller has really found his game, it seems like, the last couple of weeks. And I thought this was actually a solid night for the third pair. Again, I know a lot of people are upset with the Stanley mistake, but I thought we saw a lot of good the other way from Logan Stanley tonight with Nemestikov draws that high stick, and Stan's the one that jumps into the free ice and makes that play to Nemestikov they draw a penalty off of.
Yep.
I thought this was another great night from the third pair outside the one mishap with both Shen and Stan on the ice. And I think Colin Miller's game right now, especially with Rat River Rebels kind of concerns with Luke Shen's footwork, I do wonder if Colin Miller's the answer. If we arrive where we thought we were earlier in the year, and Colin Miller's the answer next to Sandberg after all.
Right. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like when they come back because, yeah, the Stanley stuff. Yeah, you can put a load of blame on him on the one play where they get him and Scheif both try to take the one player and leave Suter to come across the middle right on the goal. But like outside of that, he was pretty much fine. Blue line, offensive blue line in. He did again a lot of good work, and that's kind of where he does his best work. I have no idea what this is going to look like come a fully healthy lineup. And it does sound like Pionk is getting closer. Again, Scott O'Neill's comments in the pregame says that Pionk's in the weight room. He's working out, and he's definitely nearing a return. So both the usage and the actual placement on the in the six there is going to be real interesting to see what they do. Because, I don't know how you take Colin Miller out right now.
Yeah, I really like where his game's gone. He drew a penalty like Matt Wins points out.
Yep.
He gets the assist after playing solid D. He looks like he's playing a more confident game. There was some mishaps early in his season that it seemed like the coaching staff really pegged him for. Gotta like where his game's at, and I think he has to be a regular once Pionk's back. Has to be.
Has to be.
One last from Financial Faceoff from In Ehlers We Trust saying, the ginger and the prick came through, baby. I'm wondering if Lowry is playing hurt. What makes you say that one, In Ehlers We Trust? Because I think that Lowry's playing some good hockey right now.
Yeah.
The one thing, if he had even average finish net front, he can score 30 goals in this league, man. Again today, Josh Morrissey.
Morrissey. How have we not talked about that pass yet? Hold on, let's back the fuck up. How have we not talked about that pass? Jesus.
We're here now. Josh Morrissey jumping in and making that pass to Adam Lowry backdoor.
Unreal.
No finish. Woo.
Yeah, Stonehands Lowry was back in this one. That was some that was like a nice little retro throwback moment for us, getting to see Lowry just absolutely no finish in front. The poor guy. You're right. If he had just a little bit of Gabe Velarde's magic, he'd have a 30-goal season, no problem. But yeah, I swear,
every game lately he's getting a wide open look backdoor, which is great, regardless if he puts it in. As my dad kind of always said growing up, don't worry when the chances are coming. Worry when the chances stop coming.
Absolutely.
Which plays into like the analytics too, right? But It's one of those things. He's doing all the right things, getting to the hard areas, and hey, he's going to score some big playoff games in those spots. He's saving them for the playoffs.
Absolutely, right? Think Rod Brindamore during that Canes Stanley Cup run, just at the back door, just waiting constantly to pot those in. Hopefully Lowry will start to get some of those.
I like Gilbert Marion's takes here on reality check. We have to come first, and I still feel comfortable that the Winnipeg Jets are winning the West and avoiding the Dallas Colorado thing.
Yeah.
But in Gilbert's opinion, I'm not sure we're better than Colorado. I feel better. I like our chances against Dallas, hoping Dallas can beat Colorado, and that's where I'm starting to fall in this Western Conference race. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see Dallas and Colorado beat the living shit out of each other, and I would much rather play Dallas than Colorado. Colorado's the team that worries me the most in terms of both the matchup and the talent when it comes to Dallas and Colorado. So, yeah, really hoping that we can get a bit of a break on that one. Because before the ads that Colorado went out and made, I was really hoping to go out there with them in the first round even, but now I'd maybe like to wait a little bit.
It's also those Colorado's style and system and playing up to speed, I think, would be a bit more of a handful than what Dallas is sending out there.
Totally.
We'll see where that all goes. It's really looking like St. Louis is going to pass Minnesota, which, hey, sign me up for Mini. Sign me up for Mini.
What a fall, man. That was incredible. I absolutely did not think Minnesota was going to crash out this hard. I thought no way they were going to let St. Louis gain all of that space back. But yeah, the last 10, Mini's what, 5-4-1, and St. Louis is 9-1-0. Like, it's unreal.
In Ehlers We Trust says Colorado lost to the Blues. I'm not sure that's that hasn't been an uncommon thing around this.
Everyone
league.
loses to the Blues right now.
They're what, 15-2-2 in their last 19? The Blues terrify me. I'll say it right here. The Blues scare me in the first round, and I'm happy it's looking like Minnesota. I'll take the Jets in 5 over Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
I think St. Louis goes 6 or 7.
Yep. Totally agree.
So give me the little brother, big brother series.
Oh, that'll be so much fun.
We got the on-ice rivalry. We got the social media rivalry. And as the big brother that always would kick his little brother's asses, I know what it's like to be the big brother in those relationships, man. I'll take our little brother down in Mini in round 1. No problem.
All day.
Don Dawson. And I like this take.
Yeah.
Hard to disagree here. I will be much happier if Helly wins the Conn Smythe, and I think we all would. And if the Jets go the place we're going, I imagine that will be following suit.
Yeah, again, if they're going to make that deep run, you would assume Connor Hellebuyck's going to win that Conn Smythe because of it. So how can how do you argue that he's not the Jets' most important player? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And here's one. CP says Ehlers on the third. Really the second line. Lowry and Ehlers is the second. Has unlocked something in 22's game, and it's kind of allowed 22 to just be that muck and grinder, get to the net, and finish up the garbage that those other two kind of create for you. Though Lowry and Apple's both really strong on the forecheck as well, that line has definitely given them better distribution, as we talked about earlier in the show. And I got to say, I was at a bit of a, what would we call it, March Madness, having a couple of drinks, sports betting get together with some buddies last night, and Nick Ehlers was the talk of the building, and it's been a long time since that's ever been the case. I used to go to group events with those guys and argue for our boy Nick, and yesterday the talk from everybody was they're not letting him walk, right? That guy's got to sign. I don't care if he's the most highest paid player. That's our best player, yada yada. The tides have shifted, it seems like, on the perception of Nick Ehlers.
The gladiator has arrived. He is our Maximus. That is our guy, right? So yeah, it's good that he's finally getting the attention and the credit that he is so fucking deserved for so long here, and just didn't because of, perception and things like that. He's having he's one of like 8 guys having both, an absolutely historic season in terms of what he's doing. So yeah, they got to get him signed, and you do it. Just get him signed. Doesn't matter. Do it now.
Some comments over on Twitch about the playoff matchups and what we're talking about here. J Jerry 14 says Colorado has game breakers where the Stars are more rounded as a team. I think I'd rather take the Stars round 2, Wild round 1, and then we get a revenge on Vegas for the West title. Glizzy Water Soup goes on to say Wild round 1 would be a tough draw. They're a sleeping giant, and I don't know. They're going to get Eriksson Ek back and Kaprizov back, which they're 2 big horses, obviously, but I look at that team and just how they play, and I don't see them as the giant for the Jets. I think the Jets would handle that series really quick, and I could be underestimating them a little bit. That could be on me, but he also says St. Louis is riding a PDO bender. If their shooting percentage cools off, they don't scare me at all. And there's that aspect as well. Obviously, that St. Louis team isn't the same roster quality that beat the Jets in 18-19 when they got on this bit of a hot streak.
Yep.
But a team that went from 30th in goals or 32nd in goals at Christmas to top 10 right now and riding this wave, and playoff Binner and Jim Montgomery, who I really think's a high-end coach. It doesn't sit right with me right now. It doesn't sit right with me.
Yep. No, you've got, like you said, you've got a really, really smart coach going into the playoffs to feast on matchups. You've got a goalie who's finally, like you said, it's playoff Binner, right? That's a different animal at that point. And the word if does a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. If their shooting percentage cools off. It hasn't yet, right, for this stretch. So until we see it actually happen, you kind of have to take them at what they're doing. And right now they're running roughshod over teams. So yeah, I think I'd rather still give me Mini in that first round. Even with those guys coming back, they're not going to jump in and be in top form instantly. And the Jets have a nice history of beating on the Wild. So that's still my preferred matchup.
T. Will wants to see the Winnipeg Jets revenge tour, St. Louis, Colorado, Vegas, Washington. And he names Washington for winning our cup in 18.
Ooh,
and I will die on this hill. I will die on the hill that the Jets would have beat that Capitals team. That bothers. That was the best team in the NHL, man. That Nashville series was one of the all-timers in the Cap era for 7 gamers. Still bugs me to this day.
Yeah, it should have been the Jets in that final. That was absolutely incredible. I still think about that series every once in a while and just how good the fucking hockey was. But yeah, I agree that would be the revenge tour with taking down Washington for stealing our cup that year. I'm into it. I like it, T-Will.
Jeff Cabile says, beginning of the season, I had Ehlers pegged as a trade deadline blockbuster deal. I gotta say, I was a little surprised how common that take was, because I just never saw the Winnipeg Jets trading Nick Ehlers when they were in a playoff spot. I didn't think the Jets were going to miss the playoffs. My hot take at the beginning of the year, and I hope I'm wrong on it, it's still in play, was that Nick Ehlers would be the first skill player to be the Jets' own rental and walk. And I'm hoping that's not right. And I see Danny C, and I'm going to push back on Danny C a little bit, saying career year for Ehlers in a contract year. Gee, what a coincidence. And I'm not buying that at all in this scenario, because Nick Ehlers is producing at a level Nick Ehlers has consistently produced at, and all you're seeing is he's adding more points playing on a power play one that he should have been playing on for years. The Nick Ehlers story, his entire career here, has been poor deployment, and you can make a case it still is this year with the minutes.
Yep.
I'm not buying that this is a career year. This is the guy, and you've let time on ice and coaching decisions impact the fact you didn't see it, because he has been one of the best 5-on-5 producers in the NHL for years now, and he's been played at a third-line level.
Yep, absolutely. I sound like a broken record, but I'll say it again. For players who have a point per game or more in the NHL, in terms of time on ice per game, Nick Ehlers does the most with less. He has the least amount of time on ice per game since we've been recording this statistic, and have over a point per game. This is just what he does. We just didn't get to see the gross totals, like you said, because of usage, because of deployment. This is just who Ehlers is. And now that he's finally getting the recognition for it, I hope it's not too late that we can't get his name on a contract, because if they can get him signed to keep with this group right now, we've got a nice shot at keeping these deep playoff runs going.
I like this hot take from Rat River Rebel, and I think there's a lot of validity in this when you look at how the Winnipeg Jets are structured and built. Rat River Rebel says, hot take, if the Jets are to win a cup, Mark Scheifele needs to play like a Conn Smythe winner. Your thoughts there?
I disagree. I think Scheifele is now in a spot where he's like the third most important piece, if you want to make that argument at best, like at the highest. I don't think I can put him any higher than that, even if I
think that plays into his point, though.
I don't think so, but I'm not counting on Mark Scheifele to be otherworldly for the Jets to go on a deep run. I think you can have that with Connor Hellebuck way before Mark Scheifele. I think you can have Josh Morrissey do it way before Mark Scheifele. I think there are other players before Scheifele who I would see have that massive Conn Smythe's type. I think Mark Scheifele can just be fine and the Jets still win a cup. I don't think Connor Hellebuyck can just be okay and the Jets win the cup. Is kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay, so I'll make the same case that Rat River Rebel's making, because I think I like this take from Rat River Rebel a lot. As someone that has very consistently said, Mark Scheifele is a really good center, but he's in the 20 to 30 range of the NHL rather than the top 10 to 15, and that's where the struggle comes at playoff time, is that Mark Scheifele typically will be the second best number 1C in that series. I think Rat River Rebel nails this, because of that discrepancy, you're going to need Mark Scheifele to play like he was at the 17-18 level. We know the value of centers. We know how much it can make a difference. I'm not saying he's going to win the Conn Smythe over a Morrissey, over a Sandberg. I think will really be highlighted well in the playoffs, and I think you're going to see his breakout tour. Maybe not ahead of a Hellebuyck, but I do believe for the Winnipeg Jets to get there, they will need Mark Scheifele playing at that level. I think Rat River Rebel nails it.
Right on, yeah.
Nails it. Because of the fact that he hasn't been at that level. And that would be such a big boost to the Jets up the middle. I think I really like that take.
Johnny Fester agrees. He says, I think Scheifele needs to be the driver if the Jets get across the finish line. He needs to be playing like a big dog. I still don't know if Donnie likes the show or not, but that's a good comment, Donnie.
We also got some news here from Dante Violet. It looks like there will be a call-up from the AHL per our Neil post-game. Rasmus Kupari is going into concussion protocol. Who do we think the call-up will be?
It'll be interesting to see, yeah, if it's going to be. I'm assuming it's just going to be an extra body to carry around, especially now that we're past the deadline, right? They can have as many bodies up as they want without breaking the
4 call-ups.
Yeah, so
I'm guessing it's going to be like a Toninato type.
Yep.
Because you're going to keep playing Gus. You're not taking Gus out. I thought I love Gus, man.
Yeah, you can't take Gus out. That should be his spot going forward. As much as I love the speed of Rasmus Kupari, and I've been a big fan of his with some of our guys in the chat here, but Gus brings a look to that fourth line that's just it gives you a different dimension. It's much better.
Yeah. Oh, Al also points out AJF is an R. Neil favorite, and hey, we got the late season AJF call up yesterday. I imagine it's going to be Toninato or AJF to fit in the press box while they wait on Kupari. Isha Boy Bruce also says it could be Jared Anderson Dolan. I would imagine one of those 3 names will be sitting in the press box while they wait on Kupari.
My guess would be Toninato, especially with the Moose so far out of the playoffs and things like that, right? He's
wearing the C down there, isn't he?
He is, yep. That's why I think if they were still in a hunt and they were pushing and they wanted to keep that group kind of, you know what I mean, he would probably stay and it would be maybe an AJF. But I can see it because of where their Moose are at now in their season. They would probably like the NHL game of Toninato.
One more question on the Moose, and then we'll get into the 3 stars and kind of move on with our days here. Do you think they do what they did last year, and we see Salo get a game or 2, and maybe Lambert get a game or 2 just to end it when that first place is secure? Obviously, that's the priority.
Yeah, once everything is mathematically secure, yeah, I can see both. Lambert for sure, because they've given him already a little taste this year, and that's a guy that they definitely like, right? Hello's interesting. I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see them give him a little bit of a run here at the end of the year once they've got it all mathematically locked up, just to get him that, because man, he's had a really good start to his career here in North America and absolutely deserves it. I don't know if they will though. That one I'm still I'm unsure about. Lambert I could definitely see.
Jerry 14 says, do 55 and 81 both reach 40 goals? 2 more for Kyle Connor, 4 more for Scheif. What do you think there?
8 games? Yeah, I think they can both get there.
I think they both are going to get there. Connor will for sure. And last two games, you're seeing Mark Scheifele wake up from the bit of a slow period from him. I think you'll see 2 40-goal guys in Winnipeg this year.
Yeah.
Elias McCracken says, still think Shen had a conversation with Stanley about his course in the NHL, and that's maybe had an influence on Stanley's game over the last 5 to 6 games. I think he's played 4 fine games right now. I'm just not buying anything being said to someone, and is changing the talent level.
It's a Mr. Miyagi type.
It's too much of a fantasy for me to buy into here.
It's a Mr. Miyagi type situation. You know what I mean? It's wax on, wax off. Yeah, it's all right. He's absolutely. I like it. He carries Logan around in a backpack.
T. Will says, Helly in the Jets system is kind of like Brady in the Patriot system. It's a symbiotic relationship. What's your thoughts there?
In which way? That like they're making each other better kind of thing? Is that what we're kind of saying?
I think so. I think there's been a long going debate on YouTube, a long debate Helly stuff. What do you think of that comparison in general?
I mean, it's interesting. It's, Hellebuck's going to need, I guess, a few more rings before, that type of comparison. But in terms of just the way that one guy's kind of supported by a system, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing that with Connor Hellebuyck. I really do. I don't feel like it's that much of the team carrying him on it. You know what I mean? But that's an interesting one. We all know Brady's a fraud, so that part is true. It's just is Hellebuyck. I don't think so.
All right. Time for me to go off because those are my two goats. I'm a Tom Brady guy. I'm a Connor Hellebuyck guy. And this whole system bullshit for both of them to down their credit is absolutely garbage. Tom Brady went to Tampa. He went to the Bucks. One of the worst franchises in the league with the most conservative coach in the NFL and won a fucking Super Bowl. The Patriots, what did they do? What did Bill Belichick do without Tom Brady? He's not even a 500 coach in the NFL. Tom Brady was the system, just like Connor Hellebuyck is mostly the system in Winnipeg. Let's not get this twisted and dumb down two of the best talents in the world and blame or talk about all their benefactors of the system. They are the system. It was stupid to be said about Tom Brady. It's stupid to be said about Connor Hellebuyck. I am not having that shit. That is bullcrap.
That's right. It wasn't the system that helped Brady. It was the Tuck rule. Anyways, so moving on to Connor Hellebuyck. Just want to fuck with you.
Al said, ruined his marriage to a supermodel for the game. Respect.
That part, all right. You got to give him that. I can't argue that part.
Bill Belichick is the fraud in that relationship, and now he's got to date 20-year-olds just to feel something. I'm saying what I'm saying.
Well, let's go. Brady lunch.
Let's go to the 3 stars here.
Let's do it.
I'm just going to point out for choices that when the Pats went to the Super Bowl against the Eagles, that the Pats D was one of the worst in football. So
that's right. At least you didn't lose to Nick Foles.
And Kim Sawchuk says, you go, Nick. T-Will just got his. Are you okay, T-Will? Let's go. And T-Will says, that's it, Nick. You and me behind the bleachers after school. You name the bleachers, I'll be there. Wouldn't be my first dust up at a school playground, but the last one was 2 decades ago. Mom was not happy about that one, I'll tell you that.
She won't be happy about this one either.
Got the W, though. That's all that matters.
All that counts, baby.
All right, let's get into the 3 stars here.
All right. So 3 stars tonight are going to be, again, no surprise for the guys that I've chosen. Josh Morrissey, I'm going for the 3rd star tonight off of that one pass alone. We've talked a lot lately just about how good Morrissey's been, all the minutes that he's played. He's been just an absolute force on the back end, and I don't think I've given him enough credit in these things lately. So for making sure I don't forget about him, Josh Morrissey, again, just from that pass alone to Adam Lowry, gets star number 3. Number 2, Cole Perfetti. Come on. Come fucking on. I don't care if he wasn't good the rest of the game. On that one play alone, he deserves it. That is highlight reel shit. That is your TSN of the night. Cole Perfetti, that goal is just a little glimpse into what he can do and hopefully will be doing come playoff time. And the guy who's been the topic of conversation since like minute, I guess, 5 and has caused many fights in the chat already today, Connor Hellebuyck. How is it not Connor Hellebuyck? He kept them in that game. Yeah, it may not have looked, super flashy and all over the place and flopping around like a dead fish, but he made so many big saves to keep the Jets in this one. He is the Jets' best player. He is their most important player. He is the league's best goddamn player. He's your number 1 star. Give me Connor Hellebuyck.
I like it. I like the passion behind that one. Let's go. I'll give T-Will. T-Will came back. I gotta make sure we get this back and forth. We gotta present both sides. T-Will says, for the record, I wasn't saying Hellebuck was awful. Just that the Jet system makes him way better, and he makes the Jet system way better. And I agree. I agree that the changes Arneal and Bonus have implemented defensively have really brought out and helped Hellebuck be at the very top. I'll say that. I agree with that. I just think it is such a dog shit way to kind of dumb down the excellence of Hellebuck and Brady when we start talking system, when we know the system falls apart without either of them, and it's been shown on multiple occasions. It bothers me about this idea that you could just throw in any goalie in Hellebuck's spot, and all of a sudden the Jets are still competitive. It dumbs down what he's done. It dumbs down his heart ability. I don't buy those narratives for a second, but I think that's a fair point with T-Will going a little deeper on it, so I wanted to share that. And I agree with Brendan Matheson here. Everyone undervalues how good Hellebuck makes his D look, but they make him look good too. And we miss Neil Pionk more than you think. There are times 5 looks scared to move the puck more than 10. Which is a fair point as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Ben Howard also points out the Avs put on an offensive clinic in front of the Jets. No goalie was bailing the Jets out last year. Not Vazzy, not Bob, not anyone. And that's where I tend to lie on last year's first round as well.
Yeah.
My 3 stars in this one. Let's go third star Colin Miller. Continues to build on some really quality play. That third pair has been one you could trust, and it hasn't really shot the Jets in the foot. Obviously, they make that one play. And it's Stanley and Shen out there, if I'm not mistaken. And it's for a goal against. But I thought Colin Miller makes the big defensive play that ends up sending Kyle Connor to score and to get the Jets on the board in this one. Draws that penalty, plays some really quality hockey. I'm going to go second star, Mason Appleton.
Apples. Mr. Red Delicious.
Felt that line in general was really, really strong in this one, and we saw them play. Number 1 line minutes, tied with the top line. That's the adjustment I want to see from the coaching staff, so maybe I should have given an honorable mention there. But Apples works hard, gets to the net, buries. I thought him and Lowry, and Ehlers too when he's the first one in, really effective on the forecheck. Though tonight was one of those games we saw Ehlers more defensively conscious as the support guy at the top of the zone, and I like when he's using the whole zone, and I'm gonna go number 1 star. I'm gonna keep riding the Nick Ehlers train. Comes up big on that spin shot. I thought he was creating really well. You saw that edge work, creating opportunities on Demko for that line. I just really like where that second line is, and 2 of them are gonna get on the board for me on tonight's 3 stars. Want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm gonna put out a challenge here. Really appreciate all of you coming to this show, being a part of this, getting to bounce takes off each other, getting to dunk on T-Will tonight. We're 4 subs on YouTube away from 400. Let's get to 400 by the next show. Be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, let people know we're here, and we'll see you. What is it, Tuesday? It's a late one Tuesday?
The late one, yep.
LA 9:30. Oh, good God.
Right on, y'all. You know the drill. Oh, go ahead.
Might be a boring one. LA is so defensively sound, and they've only lost 4 games at home, just as we head into that one.
That's going to be tough. And it's the late game, throws them off the rhythm a little bit. Be interesting.
We'll see you late Tuesday.
Right on, y'all.
Have a great...
Good night.
Good night.